Hello, this is Marshall Zhukov, and here we are together again on YouTube. Got a little something here. Made an acquisition at a gun show. Old Beretta here. 9mm. Just about brand new in the box with 2 magazines. Doesn't look like there's been a whole lot of use on them. You can see a little bit of wear on there. Just a little bit. There's our California certified lock. Don't need that here. Round magazines. I've shot one of these before. They're easy to handle in my opinion with the recoil that's produced from the 9mm round. Not very difficult to disassemble for field strip. Kind of borrowed some ideas from the P38 and the CZ75. Pretty good pistol though. Steel slide, alloy frame. Not bad. So we'll get into getting it field stripped, and haven't cleaned it yet, but I inspected it pretty thoroughly at the gun show, and it does look to be in really good shape. It doesn't look like it was shot very much, hardly at all. There's more than one way to field strip a Beretta, but the way I prefer to do it, I just lock the slide back to the rear. This button here, you're going to have to depress the button, and you're going to need 2 hands for this as well. So the button has to be depressed, and the takedown lever is flipped down. So at this point in the field strip, we can see the button is staying depressed with our takedown lever turned down. Now, you don't want to hit the slide release. You want to stay away from that while it's in this stage of disassembly, especially when you don't have both hands on it. So you want to hold on to the slide, then release the slide release, and it will come forward. Now, as we can see right here, I release the slide release, move the slide forward. When the decocking lever is on the safe mode, when the slide comes forward, it will actually decock the hammer forward. And that's not how I prefer to do it. I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't like the hammer to hit against the frame here. So what I'll do is I will release the slide slowly and then use my thumb to bring the hammer down. Or else it can be left like this and it will remain cocked. And it would be just like that. So, but either at any rate, I prefer to drop the hammer so it's not sitting back there, because this is a firearm that does not have a magazine safety. It will fire with no magazine in the pistol. So it would be detrimental, probably, not done accidentally, but done many times purposefully to the hammer in the frame if it was just allowed to snap forward and hit it. So we'll get this taken off and get into it. So when you take the frame off, we've got our recoil spring here with a plastic guide rod. It's probably just a good idea to hang on to it when you take it off like this with your hand or something around the spring, just in case it wants to pop off right there. It probably won't, but you never know. It could go winging off. don't point it at yourself if you're not holding on to it, because if it comes loose for some reason, well, you might get hit in the face or the eye or something, and that just ruin your day. In order to remove the spring, you have to slide it forward in this direction, simultaneously slightly lifting, and it is under quite a bit of spring pressure. We can see how far the spring extends, and that comes right out. The barrel, locking block, it sits right in the lugs there, so it's a little tricky sometimes to pop out, but usually it'll just pop out, and then it's supposed to just lift out. A little harder with one hand, but doable. So some of the things I was looking at, kind of to help determine how much the pistol was shot, we can see a little bit of wear on the alloy frame right here on the top of the frame rail, a little bit down inside, and just a little bit more right here on the end near the hammer, which isn't too bad at all. I have seen brand new military issue Berettas that don't have this much wear on them. However, brand new ones that are shot with about 200 rounds through them do exhibit more wear than this. So it's probably pretty safe to say this pistol was not shot very much. There's not a lot of wear on it, and we can see a little bit more right here. Not bad at all. But that is the field strip of the Beretta. Very easy to take apart. And of course, putting back together was in reverse order. Did notice maybe there's some oil here or something, I'm not sure. It almost looks like that's supposed to be there. The black on the trigger there. It almost looks like powder fouling, but it also almost looks too uniform to have been powder fouling. I haven't got in, cleaned anything up yet in it. Nothing like that. You can get a pretty good look down the bore. Rifling, lands and grooves look very nice. Nice and sharp. Should turn out to be a pretty good shooter, I would hope. Doesn't look too dirty either. Still haven't had a chance to clean it up yet, but yes, forthcoming. One of the other things that I was looking at was the face of the slide here, and this is the part that contacts around every time the slide comes forward, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of brass on there that would really tell that it's been shot a whole lot. So it was really a good deal, really a good find. Talked the seller down just a little bit, and ended up spending probably about $100, probably $125, and after tax maybe $150 less than you might find for a brand new one in a store. Here's just one pass with my 9mm bore snake in there, and that turned out to shine up really nice. Almost so shiny you can't hardly see down there. The other thing that I didn't mention, this pistol has white dot sights for low light shooting, and it's got an ambidextrous thumb safety, or the decocking lever. It's interesting how it works. Right now it's on the fire position with the firing pin exposed. When it's on the safe position, the firing pin is rotated up and out of the way so the pistol will not. This is what I like to use to help keep the slide lubricated. And with this you have some more pieces that you're going to want to put this gun lube on here with the locking block on the barrel and the grooves down here inside the frame that it rides in. Now with this Tetra gun grease, this is recommended by a lot of people for use on Garands. It is a grease and it's pretty manageable when you're using it, but once it gets used on the firearm, sometimes it will disappear, and it is still working even though you can't see it. I mean, you can see kind of a greasy little spot, but for the type of shooting that I'm doing, and I'm not in the desert or anything, so I'm not going to need to worry about all kinds of sand and stuff getting in it, sticking to the grease. This is a good choice, in my opinion, to keep it nice and lubed up and running smooth, because once it gets going in the frame, it kind of gets worked in a little bit, and even though you can't really see it very well, it's still working. And I can see on my Garand where my op rod will rub sometimes is a critical place for it. I think we can kind of see this. This is one of the things that I like to do. Maybe this will help a little. Is get it greased up and then put it in the frame and kind of twist it. There's a little bit of play in here which is going to be needed for operation, but kind of twist it side to side, lean it a little, get that grease working in, all the friction. So when you're greasing one of these up, and this is typical with any type of firearm, we can see where it's kind of worked in now a little bit, and where I did put somewhere there's not a lot of contact. So anywhere you can see friction or wear is where you're going to want to put a little dab of grease. I got some down in there as well, as the locking block moves back there, makes some contact. And we can see a little bit in here. Any of the excess, I'll just wipe away. I put some on the inside of the slide here, and I've also got some on the frame. So we'll put it on there, see what happens, see how much, if I'm sure we'll have some excess, and I'll wipe it off, work it in, and it'll be good to go. Well, that turned out pretty good. We can see where there was quite a bit of friction on the slide. We do have a little bit of excess here. That'll get wiped away. It is just a little bit tricky to get the barrel to sit down in there, but it's got to sit down in the lugs just like that. We'll make sure the locking block is up out of the way. The slide will slide right on. We turn up our takedown lever. We can put it on safe. Let the slide go forward. We'll function test. Safety's on. Hammer decocked.